Hey guys, Crystal here from Elite Hair Care USA. So today's client decided that she wanted to, let's say it this way, she wasn't able to manage a shortcut that she got about 2 weeks ago. So she decided that she wanted to go a little bit shorter to make it a little more manageable for her at home. Now I know you're like, wait, she wants to cut more off? That sounds crazy. Truth of the matter is, when it comes to shortcuts, honestly, the shorter the hair is, the easier it is to manage. As it begins to grow out, that is when it becomes unmanageable. That is when it becomes hard to care for because you're kind of like at an in-between stage. You're in between it being very, very short or it being very, very long. And if you don't really understand a shortcut, or maybe you're new to a shortcut, the in-between kind of stage or the longer hair shortcut is going to be very hard for you to take care of. So I understood exactly what she meant when she said that it was just unmanageable for her, so she wanted to go a little bit shorter, which is normal. So instead of us just going through and giving her an all-over pixie, what I really did was go through the sides and the back and make them a little bit shorter. And then I also connected the top. There's a such thing as what we call a disconnected cut. So when it's disconnected, the crown area is much longer than the sides and the back. And that area can be used for what we call like a fringe or a bang, feathered hair, that kind of thing. So what I really did was go into the crown of her head and just blend the sides, because typically in the disconnected cut, the sides are not blended either. And then in the front of her hairline, as you can tell, she had a little bit of sparseness in the front. So I couldn't cut too much in the front, but I did go through and just blend it out a little bit more, just to kind of make it a little more seamless for her. But we still had to make sure that we were able to mask those side areas right at the temple so we didn't expose her trouble area. Now, when it comes on to hair cutting, you can either do it dry or you can do it wet. For me, for cuts like this, it's easier for me to do them wet because I'm really able to see exactly where I'm going. And at the same time, if I'm doing something where I'm waving it a little bit, or I might be using comb wave or something like that, then you definitely have to finish the cut out when the hair is wet, because you're not able to manipulate it too much or a lot more when it's dry. So it's kind of a preference, and then it's also based on the style that you're doing. Now for her top in the crown, I did go ahead and blend it out with the back by over-directing it. Over-directing allows you to create that hue of a nice transition without actually taking a lot of length. So it helps with the graduation in the front of the head, right in the crown area. So the crown actually starts from right at the middle part of the head there, where if you think of the crown, it's typically where a true queen wears her crown, and then it extends forward. But instead of me just going ahead and just cutting everything in the front, I over-directed it for the beginning part. And then once I dried her, that is when I went back through and I blended it out a little bit more. So you'll be able to see that a little bit better in the next clip. Now, for her front, you don't want to always just cut the front short automatically unless you know that you're doing a true pixie. And I didn't want to run the risk of not being able to give her a different style if it didn't suit her face. So for this portion, I didn't cut everything off in the crown all at once. I did leave some graduation towards the front just to give the ability, if I needed to change the style, I would be able to do that when her hair is dry and be able to see really everything. Now, some people, they want it all like a true micro pixie. In her case, we did not do a micro pixie. It was a pixie cut, but a micro pixie is where everything is short all over. So I did leave some length towards the front, as I said before. Now for her molding, I'm using the Bronner Brothers Professional Wrap Foam. This is not my wrap foam. This is my foam of choice. One day, maybe soon, I may have my own wrap foam. But as of right now, this is my go-to. The Bronner Brothers Professional Wrap Foam is really good for me. It actually holds the hair very well. But you're welcome to use whatever foam works for you. And when I say foam, it needs to be a wrap foam, not a holding foam, not a mousse. It needs to be a true wrap foam. So for the front of her hairline, I did a very slight wave, just literally at the actual front. I didn't go through and wave the remainder of the head because I just wanted to give her a little bit of accent towards her face. Now, even with her having the sparseness and you're doing these waves, you want to just make sure that you go through and you set the wave with the back of the comb so you don't have any spacing to show that area in the front of her head that was a little bit more trouble for her. So you'll notice that I start using the back of my comb to smooth that area out instead of leaving little comb marks in the wave. And then for the front, I just combed it forward and then just kind of pushed it on top just so I can get that hair out of the way and allow that hair to dry. Now, her hair is dry. She did go into the dryer for about 45 minutes with wrap paper on her hair. And now we're just blowing out her crown so that we can just go through and finish out her cut and then style her. So I'm not messing with the sides and the back when I'm blow drying. The sides and the back have to be thoroughly dried. The hair in the crown, it is best, of course, for it to be thoroughly dried, but you can still blow dry it if needed. Some stylists want it to be dry, like exceptionally dry. For me, it's not really a big deal if I know exactly what I'm doing, especially if I know I'm cutting it or something of that sort. I can just blow dry it. So now I'm just going through and blending out the remainder of the crown by doing a little bit of point cutting. Some people call it notching. Point cutting allows you to take out that blunt line. I didn't want too much of a blunt line in the front. I want that area to just have a very smooth transition. And then for her back, I'm just going through and cleaning it up and making sure that I put some fine tuning on the areas that I may have missed when I was cutting her wet. While everyone wants to act as if they're perfect with a haircut and their haircut is always on point, I'm one of those people where I do like to check my cut, and it's something that's very important as a stylist that you do. No one is perfect. No one is let's just say it that way. No one is perfect. Even when you're a master, you're still not a master. So you always want to make sure that you go back, check your cut, fine tune it, put the little details in, and then you can go forward with your style. So at this point of the actual cut, we can go ahead and edge her. I don't edge when they're wet because it's very hard with the clippers. Some clippers don't like wet cutting. So after we edge her hairline, we just go around. Some people like to edge the front. You don't necessarily have to edge the front. I only try to edge near her ears. I don't like to edge in the front of the face because that sometimes gives a hard line. And as females, you want to keep your haircut as soft as possible. That is the reason why I tell people when they go to barbers, just make sure you tell the barber, don't mess with your hairline. You want to keep it nice and soft. So I just went ahead and put a little bit of our Frizz Tamer and Shine Serum on her hair. The Frizz Tamer and Shine Serum is available by going to EliteHairCareUSA.com. And now I'm just using my 1/2-inch iron to give her some slight C curls or whatever. Everyone has multiple names for it, but in this instant, I'm just going through and kind of just bumping certain areas and then curling others. So the style that she gave me, the top had a little bit more shape to it, and then the sides and the back were more just like a slight bump. So with the styling portion of this cut, you kind of can be as front as you want or as loose as you want. It's cut in a way where no style, well, it's cut in a way where you can do almost any type of pixie style on it, where you can spike it or you can lay it down, that kind of thing. So we're gonna go ahead and just continue her cut. Continue curling, and then when we get to the crown, I'll come back and give you a little bit more detail on exactly what we had to do to the crown area. So in the crown, you'll notice that I'm just giving her, you can call them pin curls, C curls, whatever. But I also wanted to notate, sometimes when you are doing styles of this magnitude, you can't cut everything all at once. So I had noticed an area that I just wasn't happy with, and I wanted to blend it out a little bit better. While it's okay to be choppy in the front, not every client and every style is going to be the same. So that's why you saw me go back and cut a little bit more, because as I was working and going through, I style as I curl. I don't wait until the end on all of my styles to style her hair or client's hair, because some styles you have to style as you curl. So as I was curling her crown, that's when I noticed that I just didn't really like how the front was a little too choppy for her liking. So I went back and I did cut a little bit more, which that is possible. In the crown area, you're definitely able to do that. Now the sides in the back, you can do that as well, but you don't want to disturb your mold too much, because then you start getting the hairs flipping up and it makes it harder to control, and you have to use spurts and product to make it lay down. So that was the reason why you saw me go back. Now this is when I'm curling, my last side of curling is always the left side. And I curl right to left, and then my last piece or my last section is the left side that I'm curling to the right, so I can take out any kind of hard lines that may exist on either side of the crown. For her, it wasn't any hard lines because I did mold it in the proper way. So remember, in all of my videos, whenever I'm doing short hair, I always tell you the foundation starts at the mold. If you give a bad mold, you're going to work a lot harder when it comes onto the style. So I like to always mold it in the way that I'm going to style it. Now, there has been occasions where clients are like, oh, I think I want something different. If that is not the biggest headache for a stylist, but of course, the client always knows what they want. So it's not that I'm more upset. Sometimes it's more, I'm just like, you could have told me that before I molded you, because I wanted my mold to be perfect, but it is what it is. In her case, she did not say that. I was just really just talking about a normal day sometimes with clients. So we have basically finished out the curling of the style. I don't like to do too much curling, especially, near the nape of the neck, and I try to make it as seamless as possible when a client tells me that it's already hard to manage. So I try not to even do too much to the nape of the neck or near the ears. So with that being said, we have completed her cut and style. Thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please don't forget to thumbs up this video.